far back as I can remember, I've always had a watch on my wrist.
Hey everyone, I'm Chase, founder of Oak and Oscar. Welcome to the next episode of the Watch Table. We're here today at the Oak and Oscar HQ to chat with Steven about his watches and why he loves them. Steven is a flannel, denim, boot, and coffee connoisseur, loving husband, and former professional basketball player. Let's learn more about the story behind the watch. Steven, welcome to the Watch Table.
Thanks, Chase. It's really a pleasure and honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming out here from Milwaukee. So, first question, why do you love watches?
As far back as I can remember, I've always had a watch on my wrist. There's just, something I've always liked about having something where it's kind of personal to you and you can kind of customize it with different straps or bands. And
that is one thing that I absolutely do love about watches, is that you can kind of assign a story to them, or they come with a story based on how you got them or why you got them. And so they mean that much more to you than just something on your wrist that tells the time. Tell me a little bit more about this Tudor Ranger.
Yeah, so with the Tudor, I had kind of been looking to kind of get a more expensive mechanical watch, or kind of something that's definitely well made, and I'd been looking around. I hadn't quite been able to pick one out, and I came across the Tudor Ranger. I loved how simple the dial was, the 369, and my wife and I had kind of been talking about, all of a sudden she kept asking me, she's like, did you get any email? Have you checked your email today? And I was just like, yeah, I don't think, what's going on? And then I didn't get any email. So then she sent me a screenshot of the text saying, Merry early Christmas. Here's the money for the Ranger. So
that's awesome.
And
that's a nice surprise. And she was your fiance at the time.
She was, yes.
So it's one of those scenarios where yep,
she's the one.
I'm marrying the right one. I get it. Which actually does bring us to the watch that's on your wrist, the Jackson Chronograph.
Yeah, the Jackson, is really something special. It's my first watch from you guys here at Oak and Oscar, and I really wanted to have something that was able to commemorate my wedding day and have it be something special. Just the details with the blue dial, it matched my suit, and then also kind of with the flyback chronograph movement. Just, I know that every time I look at this watch and put it on, I can hit the chronograph and fly back to my wedding day and the first day I put it on. So then this here, the Seiko Turtle, is kind of special to me in the fact that I initially wasn't really a fan of it, and then I knew my brother had kind of had his eye on one, so I ended up getting him one for his birthday, and with that I was able to try it on and was like, wow, this thing really feels great on the wrist, and the details with the gold and the dial and around the bezel is just something that is kind of cool. And after giving one to my brother, I was like, I gotta have one too, so ended up purchasing one, and now we kind of both have turtles.
Matching turtles. And then of course, also our latest watch, which is the Oak and Oscar Humboldt, and this is a prototype, but you guys also will have matching Humboldts.
Yeah, and it's watches and other things that my brother and I have interest in. It's kind of brought us a lot closer over the years, so being able to kind of share that passion and talk about different watches and kind of what excites us is something really special. But for us both being able to have the Humboldt, it will be the first watch that we both are getting at the same time. So I think that makes it even more special that we'll be able to share in something from the very beginning. It's just something that recently I've kind of really become passionate about, kind of having something and being able to see it age. And as I mentioned, each piece, that if you buy like a well-crafted watch or shirts or pair of jeans or boots, it takes on its own story. It's unique to the user and the wearer and how it ages, and just kind of having you're investing in something that's gonna be around for a long time.
Yeah, I love that. It's not the idea of buying more, it's the idea of buying fewer better.
I guess a couple other pieces that kind of have significance are the SKX 013, just kind of a smaller version of the Turtle at 38 millimeters, but I just kind of like the fact that it's a watch that you can really just put on, not have to worry about it, doing chores around the house, and kind of looking forward to seeing it age over the years and kind of have the bezel fade and seeing what it looks like in 20 years.
Sure. And then one of the newest additions to your collection is the Hoyer Skipper re-edition, which was an interesting way that you got this. Can you tell us a little bit how you got this?
Yeah, it's when it first originally came out, like my brother and I were like, we saw it and we're like, man, that's a really cool watch. And obviously it sold out almost instantaneously when it was first released, and then ended up following StockX
Sure.
watches, and they ran a contest which would, if you won, it gave you the opportunity to buy the Skipper, and my name was drawn, and then a few days later the watch was in my possession. So it's definitely...
I remember you telling me about when you got the opportunity to buy it, which is such an interesting concept that you won the opportunity between a couple thousand people, more than that, to buy this watch, which is an interesting thing. But this watch I think retailed for $5,900, something like that, and they're on the market now for anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000. I actually have one as well.
Yeah.
I bought it in the initial go around, and it's one of my favorite watches too. Personally, the Skipper, the original Skipper era, is a grail of mine. I've been able to wear one of the originals before. As soon as this came out, I was like, oh, I have to have it. And then another watch that you have here is the Steinhardt OPM. And this one, if I remember correctly, started out as a different Steinhardt.
It did. I initially had, I got a promotion at my job and decided I kind of wanted to get a watch to signify that. They didn't have the OPM available at the time, so I went with the next closest thing that kind of like caught my eye. It was the vintage red. It had a gray dial, which definitely was unique and very cool. And then every time, my brother had actually had the OPM first, and every time he would wear it or send me a picture of it, I just like the black dial. I was like, man, I really like that black dial. And then I actually found one on Instagram for sale, and I was just like, man, I got to do it. So it's just one of those where you kind of, you like it, you want it, and then ended up being able to kind of acquire it.
So I think now it's probably time to do the rapid fire questions. First question is, if you could live in any city of the world, where would it be?
Right now, I mean, I really love living in Milwaukee. It's really a great city. There's lots of new restaurants kind of coming in, and it's really kind of where I see myself. But outside of that, Seattle is definitely another top city that my wife and I love. So,
if you could have any superpower, what would you most like to have?
As far as superpowers, I know we mentioned I used to play basketball and I'm a little bit taller, so I would love the ability to have a doorway just shift as I walk through it so I don't always have to duck my head.
What's your favorite complication?
I would say, even though I don't have one in the collection, a GMT. I like traveling and being able to track 2 time zones and things like that is something that I definitely hopefully someday we'll have in the collection.
All right, who'd win in a fight, Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Ooh, that's, I think I'm probably gonna have to go with Michael Jordan. He is the greatest of all time, and he's just tenacious, and he definitely would win.
So if you remember from our last season of the Watch Table, we had everyone guess how many nylon straps were in the jar.
Yeah.
We just announced that not long ago. It was a fun little competition giveaway. So we're gonna switch it up for this season of the Watch Table. How many spring bars are in the bottle?
I'm gonna have to guess 180.
180. All right. Well, I say with that, thank you very much for coming to the Watch Table. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.